So, racing this last weekend, and the pedal started acting, brake pedal started acting weird after probably 30 some laps of going back and forth. So maybe not that many, maybe 20 some, but anyway, it was enough to really put a load on this. What ended up happening is this, even though I checked the outside, this caliper on the other side, this rear doesn't retract, so it's been dragging for a while and it just wore down to the metal. So I bought new calipers, pads, and rotors, and that's what I'll be replacing now. So the first thing to do is to remove the caliper. There are two hex head screws back here that go into the caliper bracket. So I'm going to remove those, and that will allow me to take out the caliper, and then I will be replacing the caliper. And it was a 13 millimeter socket that got those two hexes off. Then I had to use, after I took off the parking brake, had to use the C-clamp in order to compress the piston back in enough to get it out. Here you can see this was the outer shoe, and at first glance it looks like, yeah, there's plenty of pad left. Well, this is the inner shoe, and there is no pad left. So all bad. Now I've got bigger bolts to take off here and up there. That'll remove this caliper bracket. It's nice to have a lowered car that just sits down, and I can just put a block of wood to support the caliper. So those were 15 millimeter socket required for those. Sometimes people say, well, the reason the caliper doesn't retract is that these pins don't move easily enough. Well, both these float quite nicely. So that was not the problem. The problem is, we're going to call it in the caliper. Also, these, sometimes they say, oh, these get corroded and they won't slide. These stainless steel things are in just fine shape. So again, pointing back at the caliper. So now let's take a look at the disc to see how bad it is. There's a retainer right there that I need to get off. Not supposed to look like that. Some pretty mean grooves out of there, although there's no lip on this, but it should have bore farther to the OD. So as it was failing, that's what it was doing. But again, new discs going on, new calipers going on. So the next thing I'm going to do is deal with removing that nut that's holding that, so I can attach the new caliper to the end of the brake line. So the boxes aren't marked right and left, or driver, passenger, whatever. So I'm setting them up side by side, and as you can see, this one's got the bleeder on this side, which is the same as that. The parking brake comes up through that holder and into this lever. Same thing here. And then the banjo connection goes in on that side. And I just pulled out the red plug there. So this all matches up. The calipers did come with new brackets and new hardware, and somewhere are the copper washers. I'll find the copper washers. This is probably them, yes. These copper washers are used at that joint. So that's next. Right there is the banjo joint. It was a 12mm, and again you can see copper washer, brake fluid oozing out of there, hence the cardboard underneath. There is a clip right here that retains the end of the parking brake coming in, so I will remove that. This looks like once I do that, this will come up and around and come off. So you hook this end. The way I was able to get the other one off is I had the big channel lock pliers and I just squeezed that. That allowed this to pop off of that catch, and after that was after removing the clip. All right, the trick to getting this clip back on is the hole in the little bracket end of the calipers is the right diameter for a counter bore shoulder to fit in. It has to fit in order to get the clip in. So I put the clip on, I engaged this properly, and then I was able to slide the whole affair over and around and get it in where it needed to be. So now we'll, again with a new washer on the end of the banjo, we'll put that on. So the outside, to prevent rust, is coated in some sort of oil or protectant or something. I cleaned the inside surface of the new disc before putting it on the wheel. Now I'm gonna hit the outside. It's only necessary to clean this off of the surface that's the brake shoes touch. Everything else can stay coated. All right, so I started this clip back on. We'll finish getting that on and install the new bracket and then install the calipers, and then this side will be, oh, and I need to tighten that bolt because it didn't have leverage there. All right, the back side of the inner and outer pad got sprayed with what's called disquiet, and then these rubbing surfaces here got the grease that came with the pads there. And now we're going to put the, oh yeah, and the brackets bolted on. So now we're going to put the calipers over it and attach it with its screws. All right, now it's on to the other side. I did remember to tighten that bolt back there. Check to make sure that the lines are lying in there correct, no twist. Oh, everything is good. So like I said, on to the other side. Repeat. Now I still need to bleed these. That'll be done with a bleeder off of that bleed screw, and the same thing on the other side.